Hello and welcome to another bundle, kicking off with episode 53 with Tamu Thomas, who honestly is just one of my favourite people. She's just, listen to the episode. That's all I have to say. She's the founder of Live 360. Her direction has changed slightly since this episode, but her vibe, her energy, her soul, her heart, listen to the episode. That's all I have to say. Next, episode 54. This is perfect if you are on school holidays and you are thinking, what the Jeff am I going to do with these children until September? Claire Russell is the founder of Play Hooray, and her brand has supported so many families across the world, no doubt, including mine, to bring play into our home, to fill our days. There's that phrase, isn't it, that the days are long but the years are short. And she works in such a creative way with small children, but also with stuff that you have around the house. I hate this feeling like you've got to spend 150 quid on an activity. And actually, there are so many things that are useful that we can use as well. Sally Lovett is somebody I've actually done some speaking with. She's the founder of Stretching the City. I did an event with them where I spoke at the Olympic Village, which was really fascinating. It was definitely one of those moments where I still felt like a tourist, even though at that point I'd probably lived in London about 20 years. But I love what she does with well-being and in the corporate world, and really combining the two. Finally, Natalie Lee, and she is the founder of Style Me Sunday, but her brand has evolved and broadened and widened and deepened so much since this episode. And she is bringing so many vital conversations to life. I think we need them in this day and age, and certainly this sort of 40 plus generation can slightly get forgotten, or there's a lot of stuff that we're working through, or we're maybe going back to the 90s and going, oh, no wonder that felt a bit weird. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? Nat is bringing so many of these conversations to life. So do check out her Instagram and listen to this episode. As always, do check out the shop, nikkiroby.com/shop, and enjoy the episode.
I journal.
It's the 108 notebooks I've got just,
goodness,
by my bedside.
It's ridiculous. I'm like, my daughter is obsessed with stationery, and I'm always saying, oh, you're wasting money. I don't give you pocket money so that you can buy a new thing from Smiggle every week or whatever. The amount of notebooks I've got, and journals and planners and this and that. But journaling has really been one of the cornerstones in me being able to change my internal dialogue. Yes. And put down on, I don't just use it as a dumping ground, but when I do dump, as the information is flowing down from my head through my hand onto that piece of paper, I start to see the stories for what they are, and then I can start to flip them. And so in my practical daily life, that just lodges in my mind. So when I'm doing things like when I'm criticizing myself, when I'm telling myself I can't do things, I'm like, oh, Tammy, you're doing it again. And then I've got the other things that I can do about it. So whether that is journal about why I can and should and deserve and can have these things, or if it is an affirmation that I will repeat all the time. Even things like in the morning, try as best as I can to start my day with my feet on the ground, just telling myself today I'll be my own best friend, and really being clear about how I want to feel about the day. And I listen to lots of podcasts, lots of audiobooks, and I read all the time because I just need that constant trickle so I don't fall back into my default. And I know that I need that because that was my default from the age of 7 to the age of 39. So it's going to take a lot to chip away. But because I am now more self-aware, and because I have the opportunity to be still every day, I can really connect with how I'm feeling. So where previously I would automatically be judgmental and it would just fall out of my mouth. I'm a lot more aware. So as it starts to bubble up, I can catch it before it even comes out of my mouth. And I can have a word with myself and change that, and be more compassionate and understanding.
It's almost, my life now have almost become like my homework. The night before, I have a quick panic of, oh my goodness, what am I going to do tomorrow? It's like my homework. What am I actually going to do tomorrow? And then it's busy in the mornings, because by the time I've dropped my little boy off preschool, come back, and then I get ready for the live straight away. I always have that flutter of nerves just beforehand, thinking, oh my goodness, this isn't good enough. Everyone's going to say it's rubbish and blah, blah, blah. And I have that moment, and then I just have to go for it. And I'm so pleased I do, because it's worth it when I get the messages from people afterwards in my inbox, or I get fan mail photos. I ask people to send in photos of the play that they're doing with children, and it sounds so cheesy, but it just makes it so worthwhile, because by doing that, to hear that I've supported someone who was maybe having a day when they just didn't know what to do with the children at their wit's end, or had given up, or I get lots of messages from maybe if parents are pregnant or ill, even thinking, what am I going to do with my child today that's at home? And just to hear that I've helped somebody really does make it worthwhile. So I've committed to going live, and it really has been the best thing I could have done, really. And now I love it, and I actually miss it when I don't do it, which is crazy.
Well, your community are so engaged and really want to share. And I think in the beginning of sort of going live and things like that, you might have a few lurkers who kind of pop up to say hello, but they're not sort of commenting. And then after a while, that consistency just builds and builds. And I was going to ask, how do you sort of keep it fresh, and how do you keep sort of yourself topped up creatively with ideas? Because some of the things that you come up with, I just think, of course that would be something that you would do with it. But sometimes I don't always have the headspace to look at an object in that way.
Yeah. It's a tricky one to answer, because there's quite a few things. So some of the activities I pull from the days of teaching and doing things with early years, and things that I've tried with my little boy and that have worked and things like that. And I do actually take time to think of activities well, because it is now part of my, the days when I was teaching, oh my goodness, the activities were nowhere near as creative as these, just because when you are in the classroom, it's not just about being with the children. Sadly, there's so many other things you have to do, and the paperwork and all sorts of other things take up your time, and actually the creating of the activities. So I now have a little bit more headspace to come up with the things. And also I theme my days just to help people know the days that they want to tune in. So like Baby Play Monday, that really helps me focus for the activities, and what have I covered, what else would, and also I try to answer a lot of the questions that I receive. So I often get asked about particularly the Baby Play Monday, which is my most popular day, because it is hard to entertain your baby sometimes. I had a lot of messages from parents asking about when's the best time to start reading, or best time to start doing activities and things like that. And so, I try to answer people's queries, because quite often one person might think is a silly question. I've actually been asked hundreds of times before.
What it looks like for me. Just kind of defining success and being more focused and honed on my business.
Yeah. What would you say to people who were maybe, 25 and going through this sort of sense of, I actually feel like it's time for me to make the jump? What advice would be useful?
I think,
if that's to say that we ever did listen to advice when we were 25, I'm not sure that I did by any means. Like, no, I'm doing my own thing. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I mean, I think for 25-year-old nowadays, there's so much more about, there's so much more out there about kind of having a side hustle, being entrepreneurial, like Emma Gannon's doing some great stuff around like the multi-hyphen method. So I think there's this real culture of go for it. Like, yeah, explore different things. It doesn't mean you've necessarily got to kind of jack in your job, but you can have the time, and you've got all the opportunities where you could try out like a little side business on the side. So just be brave and take advantage of all these opportunities and tools you've got at your fingertips.
Especially your Friday finger pose. Like, tell us a little bit more about that. It's so good.
I love my Friday finger pose. Well, I think sometimes it's really good to just sort of I don't know how to describe it really. But anyway, what my Friday finger is basically I'm sticking a middle finger up to different things every week, and there'll be a different theme every week. It could be the diet industry. It could be, big brands not showing a diverse range of models or representatives. Whatever's sort of getting my goat that week, I'll stick my Friday finger up to it. And, the thing is about the whole comments, I invite discussion. Yeah. I'm not the oracle on everything or anything. And I it's a space where you can have a really adult, polite discussion. And I'm also happy to be challenged, or, my thoughts can be sort of provoked and stimulated. It's a two-way street. It's not just me sort of preaching to my followers, and I love that because I'm learning every single day, and that's great.